All right, everybody, welcome back to the DMV Legacy League Super League. Last week, we had a wonderful match. Myself and Mason Bonadonna gave you the coverage there. This week, I'm joined by Paul Lynch, one of my very good friends. Paul, how are you doing today?
Hey, how's it going? Doing pretty good. A lot better after some food. We were actually, a bunch of us were just at a BCQ today, and seen a fair amount of the people on the bracket in attendance today. So it was good seeing everybody. Record, not so much, but had fun hanging out with everybody. So it was a good day.
Well, you can't win them all. Do you
You're
know
not.
who happened to win that BCQ, and where was that BCQ at?
Today's BCQ was at the Game Haven of Maryland, which has their weeklies on Tuesday night. And I
Yes.
believe the finals today would have been, and I'm horrible with last names, so please apologize. I'll apologize in advance. Was Bobby on, I believe, Esper Dreadnought, and Kate on Is It Otters.
Nice.
It was a two banger today, and they both got qualified, so good for them. They were able to split the finals.
I know both Bobby and Kate. They're both wonderful players. I at least know them from playing up here in Maryland. For this episode, we're going to go down to Virginia. We're going to play, or we're going to see a game between James Pogue and Jess64. Both players who are doing great work in this Legacy League series. Do you know anything about what James and Jess64 play regularly?
Jess64, not so much. I've seen them play, or have been told, and I've also seen a little bit of Grixis here and there. But coming out of the shop at Paradise, they have a lot of great players, and they have a lot of really unique deck builders. Seen some really cool innovations when different decks come out of there. I know a lot of the members down there at the shop have some very unique takes. So Jess64, I'm not 100% sure what they may be playing. James, on the other hand, may have a slight little thing going on with the brain. Him and his brother, Kemper, usually have some pretty unique takes on decks. They always keep things fresh. And I've seen that at least James has been doing really well with it's like a blue-black tempo show. It's been doing pretty good.
Okay.
But knowing them, wouldn't surprise me if they went for something maybe a little spicy, a little out there, maybe brewed up some blue-black flow state reanimator maybe. But that's my called shot to the, I'm gonna get my Babe Ruth in there. But that would probably be some kind of blue-black tempo.
Okay. Well, one of the great things about the Legacy League, Super League, is that when you sit down to put your deck together for your match every week, who your opponent is going to be. You don't necessarily know what they're playing, and it's not open deck list. So even, once they play their first land, you might not be 100% sure what they're on. But you do get to know the name of your opponent, and you get to look at the bracket going down, through the next couple of weeks. And so there's a bit of a meta game where you see the name of your opponent, and you've played them in your weeklies. If you've played them at BCQs, you can kind of get a feel for what they've been playing. Fortunately for us, we won't have to speculate for much too longer because Ryan has done an interview with these players, and we're going to go ahead and throw to Ryan right now.
All right. Want to see these deck lists?
I'm here with Jess, the #1 seed from Paradise Games and Gifts. Jess, how are we doing today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm pretty good. Now,
you
at a store, all right, at a store of absolute killers, you were the #1 seed going in this season. How does that make you feel?
Don't I know? I don't know what happened. I don't know how this keeps happening. Last year, I also ended in the top 3 overall at the store. I don't know what's going on. I just know I keep showing up. I keep casting Lightning Bolt, and I keep walking home with store credit.
I mean, is that not just the quintessential Legacy experience?
Real.
Now, how long have you been playing Legacy for?
I've been playing Legacy for a year and a half. About. I started at the tail end of season 1 of this league, so October of 2024.
Okay, so relatively new to the Legacy format. Do you feel that puts you a distinct disadvantage, or do you feel that your fresh approach gives you an edge?
I would love to say my fresh approach gives me an edge, but I think it means that I forget multiple things every single match, and I still am not past the stage of learning Legacy where after every match I go, okay, Turn 2, I resolved my ponder wrong, and I lost the game because of it. 17
Well,
turns later.
I mean, I think that's just, again,
Yeah.
the quintessential Legacy experience there.
The best
can't
store to
turn-
be learning, though. I'm trial by fire every week.
Oh,
I'm like, all right,
absolutely.
round 1, Jay Wachowski. Let's go. Okay.
Yeah. 2-time EW finalist. Yeah, that'll go well. Yeah. Yeah, you're playing against James, who's been playing Legacy in this area for 20 years. So definitely a veteran versus rookie matchup. But what did you bring to the matchup today? What are you prepared to play?
I brought my one true love. I brought Grixis Control. If I'm
Ah,
ever not on it,
yes.
something's wrong.
Now I know you are very familiar with this deck, and you've played against it with me as well. Are you concerned that your familiarity with this deck and your being known for this deck is going to make you exploitable in this competition?
Possibly. I feel like everything that my opponent could pick as like a deck to try to slip under me or ruin my life is either a deck he was already going to play or a deck that it just ruins my life no matter what. Like I'm not gonna try to make a prediction and be like, maybe he'll switch to Tron because he knows I'm on control. I play a different deck, I'm gonna lose to Tron anyway because I don't know how to play the other deck.
All right, so that's your official guess? Do you want to put it an official guess?
I mean, from what I know, he's been playing Blue Black Tempo recently, and I know
Mhm.
that in VC with Nova Spikes yesterday, someone asked, what does he usually play? And another person answered Doomsday. So at this
Okay.
point, I'm going, it's either blue black or I'm going to get swerved on horrifically, and I'm just going to have to deal with that. I'm just
Yeah,
going to have to hope it's not energy because I cut the toxic deluge from my sideboards.
yeah.
Really funny, though.
This is a sideboard, by the way, that is, I think, well prepared for anything. You have 14 different cards in it. What's the strategy here?
Well, some of the cards also fulfill the same role. They just do it in slightly different ways, like Flusterstorm and Spell Pierce. They're the same. They're effectively 2 cards for the same type of thing, but split because one is much better when it is an instant and sorcery, and one doesn't just fold if they just cast a Lurin.
Right.
Hard cast a Lurin, and I just go, oh no, no, oh no, 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 not like this. Beyond that, it's just a lot of I like one-ofs. I'm a little greedy. Flow state makes it easier a little
All
bit.
right.
And
Yep,
then
4 flow
some cards
state.
that I'm used to having like 2 or 3 of, I would keep consistently. I'd either sideboard in all the copies, and
Mhm.
then in games where I drew all the copies, go, oh, this is maybe a little awkward. Or I'd have games like I kept not adding the 3rd Pyroblast when I was sideboarding. I went, at what point do I just say, I as a player am not using this slot efficiently at this point?
Well, I guess we'll see how these sideboard pieces go for you. Good luck today. We're going to send it back to the booth. I'm here with James Pogue, number 2 seed coming from Curio Cavern. James, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great, Ryan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So you've been
Awesome.
around this area for a long time. You've been a stalwart of the Legacy community. How's it feel being against Legacy's best?
I'm really excited about it. I love the DMV Legacy League. I think it's been fantastic to bring real excitement to the Legacy community in a structured way, and I think the Super League is just another example of a way to get everyone really excited to play Legacy every week.
All right. Now you have, like we just said, a lot of experience playing Legacy, and particularly in this area. Do you think that gives you a big leg up against the competition because you're kind of used to these people, or are you just where everyone else is?
I mean, I think most people who play in the league have played a lot of Legacy, or at least a lot of people have for a while. So, everyone has the benefit of format knowledge, which is a huge part of this. But yeah, I mean, playing people before, I've played Jess before. It's been a little while, but I've played Jess before as well. So, have an idea of what they may be playing, and that I think is a bit of an advantage. But it's a small community, so I think everyone kind of has an idea of what each other may be playing too. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people come into these interviews go, I know exactly what they're playing and been wrong very consistently. So it's going to be interesting to see what you
Sweet.
think.
All right.
But you,
Perfect.
of course, play quite a few different decks. You've always been able to hop around. So what did you decide to bring to the table today?
So I actually brought Tron to the table today, which is a deck that I have not been playing a ton of, but I played a little bit online. And I brought it basically because I think Jess is on a fair blue deck. I could be wrong, and maybe if I am, then I'll eat my words. But playing against them before, they've typically been playing like Blue Black or Grixis Control or something like that. And if that is true, then Tron is well positioned. But yeah, we'll see, I guess.
All right. And looking at this Tron list, of course, recently mentioned in the BNR as a deck to watch, do you think it has that power level that we might see? This might be one of the few times we see Tron in the Super League before it gets axed.
I think it has the power level. It's weird because real life Magic Candle is a pretty big barrier to entry to playing the deck, so that's kind of a strange phenomenon that's hard to in our local scene. I don't see a ton of Tron. I mean, there's a couple of people playing it, but there's not a lot of it. So it's hard to say exactly, but I think it's definitely powerful. I mean, it does incredibly broken things, and I was actually just playing a game online against an energy deck that was built to beat Tron. It had all these 2-mana Stone Rain effects that draw you a card, but I get a basic land which I don't have, and it played literally 16 Stone Rain effects in the deck plus Wastelands, and I still beat it. So Tron is it does powerful stuff.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Tron is here to stay, and Tron is powerful. We're going to send it back to the booth for one more interview.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. So a little bit of a swerve here, and it sounds like it is, in fact, a metagame call. James has decided that he's going to bring Tron because it should have a favorable matchup against the Grixis control deck. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. Historically, a lot of the big mana and the fast artifact producing decks have a long history of just beating up on control decks, going back as far as even to top counterbalance miracles and old school Grim Monolith Eldrazi recasting Endbringer and random just big dorks, and then we just go over the top of. And I have a feeling that's maybe how this one's going to go. I think it's either going to be Tron's just going to go over the top because Grixis usually doesn't run Wastelands or fast threats. Or it's, I don't know. I can't see it going the way of the Grixis deck unless they have a lot of things go right and they have a little bit of disruption. Sometimes they run Blood Moons, but I haven't seen that run in the current meta in a very long time. So I'm not sure if they have it or not, but it's going to be interesting to see how it definitely plays out in the end.
Yeah, it is interesting because this deck is a Grixis control deck. It's designed to slow down the game, disrupt your opponent, and then win through a Kaito or a Barrogoyf that just gets to carry the rest of the game. But here, you don't have a lot of time because every turn, at least, your opponent is drawing a card off the top of their deck. With the One Ring, they can be drawing lots of cards. And each of those cards might be a game-ending threat right then and there, and they're going to have the mana to cast it, starting on turn 3, pretty consistently. So you can't play the control role like you normally would. And so there are certain tools. You mentioned Blood Moon. I think Blood Moon would be excellent here. Maybe back to basics to slow down the opponent. I think what is going to have to happen is Jess64 is going to have to step outside of the control role and start trying to play the beatdown. And when you're playing the beatdown with cards like Baleful Strix, it's a hard road to climb.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a little help in that situation because primarily the ways that you beat the Tron deck and the big mana deck is you either go under them and you play a very, very disruptive, tight, tempo-y style game plan with lots of Wastelands, a fast clock, some card draw, your classic Delver strategy. Or you just go over the top and you just combo through them. And if you can't do either one, it can be very, very rough. And Grixis is not necessarily known for being fast or having explosive starts. So maybe an uphill battle, but I definitely want to see what happens as it goes on.
Now, Jess64 did mention that they keep casting Lightning Bolt and they keep winning with it. And that could be a way to kind of close out a game. A Bolt, Snap, Bolt, and a couple of attack steps can do it. I know that Jess64 sideboard has a single copy of Price of Progress. In fact, we got single copies of 14 different cards with an extra, I believe it's a Pyroblast in here.
Now we're cooking a little bit.
Yeah. How do you feel about that kind of that kind of I don't know split of cards that do, like Jess64 was saying, the same kind of thing, just maybe with a little bit of a different textural difference.
Seeing that many unique sideboard cards is definitely one of the most Grixis things I've seen in a very long time. They generally run so much card advantage between your Strixes, all of your Ponders, Brainstorms, this one having Kaido and flow states and stuff like that. You are going to churn through so much of the deck fast if you don't have to, if you have the time to do it. But on the same side, looking at this, having Price of Progress, multiple bolts, multiple snaps, it is a way to do it if you can hit like an early Thoughtseize followed by like a Strix into a bolt, snap, plow, snap, price, bolt, or whatever you want, and then having a bunch of counter magic to back it up can definitely get it done.
All right. Well, I guess all that's left is to see how and if it does get done. So let's go ahead and go down to the tournament center now and start this match.
All right, let's go.
All right, so here's our opening hands. Players are going to make mulligan decisions. Now, on the Tron side of things, it's usually just, I want to make this mana fast. I want to make a game-ending threat. How do you feel about this one here, starting with an Ancient Tomb?
I mean, this hand looks pretty great. They have Ancient Tomb into Monolith with Key on turn one. They have access to Flute if they need to get a disruption down or stop potential Force of Wills. Sometimes you see a lot of these decks, they'll run out of Flute preemptively to basically be like an Orm's Chant for like Force of Will. And then having the K command to find what they need is gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, looks great on the Tron side. Up on Grixis, we're going to lead on we did take a mulligan to 6, and we're going to lead on a Delta, pass the turn back. And the drawing of the Karn means this could be over very quickly. We didn't talk about it before, but this Karn is kind of a one-card combo.
Yeah, and this is kind of what we were talking about in the beginning before the match started, was if they don't have the counter magic and they don't have the pressure, it's going to be very, very tough when this Tron deck just starts going off like this. It's very easy for the snowball. And once it does, it is very, very, very hard to stop.
So this looks like it's going to be a turn one Karn. Do you just go for it right now? Do you? Well,
I kind of like this, knowing that you're going to be able to reload the following turn with a pretty large K command, and then you also are going to have your Saga to follow it back up. Also knowing if your opponent just doesn't have Force of Will here, the game just might be over.
Right. So it looks like this card is going to resolve. Brainstorm did not find the Force of Will blue card that we needed. What do we think James is going to do here? Minus, go grab.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be minusing. Depending on how they want to go. I mean, generally this early when they do it, they go for the liquid kettle or the liquid metal coating to try and go for the lock plan. If they have more mana later in the game, it can be bridge. And as we see, there's the liquid metal coating coming down as early as next turn to start locking Jess64 out of all their mana every turn and destroying their lands.
Yeah. So fortunately, the Karn does have an answer here in the Sheoldred's Edict, but it is going to be 2 mana, and it means you're giving up this Thoughtseize. You could Thoughtseize and Bolt as a way to answer the Karn.
That's kind of what I would lean towards too, because outside of Planeswalker with low loyalty, the Bolt really isn't going to be doing a whole lot. Well, these decks generally don't run creatures. Some builds do run your Flesh Rakers. This build doesn't seem to be, so the Bolt's just going to be lost on that, and you're going to be able to use the Edict later in the game to hit something bigger, like like a giant dragon planeswalker in the form of Ugin, which is generally game over, because when that comes down, they chain, and they chain very hard.
Well, it looks like Jess64 has chosen to use the 2 mana spell, be more mana efficient. Now, how do you feel about waiting for your opponent's untap? What are we playing around there?
I don't think it really does anything here in the context of this matchup. Whether you do it on the upkeep, on your turn, I still think it's generally better to do it on your turn against a non-blue deck, just in case they always have something crazy up their sleeve, or they can have something weird happen, and they're generally not going to have ways of interacting if they're actually tapped on a mana.
Right.
Yeah. As compared to blue decks, you do it during their upkeep to play around Force of Negation, though.
Right. Absolutely. So here we're going to use our Manifold Key to untap our Monolith and resolve the One Ring on turn 2.
Yeah. Looks like, yeah, my Precious is going to resolve here.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely going to be a little bit of trouble.
Gets us a map to find another tech land, maybe a second Urza Saga.
Yeah, Saga.
I think really just to be mana
also,
efficient.
Either Saga or also potentially they could use it to find the Plenier Nexus to turn on the rest of the deck if they feel like they need to do like a gigantic culling in this command. But Saga is probably what they're going to search for it.
Yeah. Jess64 opting not to Thoughtseize here. We do deploy the Turkey, draws us a Brainstorm. Opponent just has all of that mana.
If they would have Thoughtseized, I'm pretty sure it would have been pretty bad for them because I believe there was ring protection.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good point. Sometimes those cards have more text than just, I'm going to draw an increasing number of cards every turn for the rest of the game, which is what I was thinking about the One Ring, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Actually, that situation came up today in one of the BCQ matches I was playing for top 8. There was a One Ring in play with Null Rod. They've been sitting in play for a while. Opponent was potentially unlethal, went to play a One Ring just for the protection. The blue-red Delver opponent forced it untapped, attacks for 6 with the Murktide, bolts through the face through Turn of Spheres.
Well, there you go.
If they wouldn't have, they could have untapped and yeah.
Tron player opting to use the ring here draws another copy of Kozilek's Command. At this point, we're just looking for something to kill our opponent with, right? A Ugin, another Karn, something along those lines.
Ugin,
so I think we'll probably see that on the instep.
Wouldn't surprise me, if we were just going to see we're going to see some constructs being made during the end step, probably untapping either the ring or the monolith for more mana generation or cards next turn.
Right.
But yeah, probably potentially, like I said, making a Saga token, untap, reevaluating, Saga token again, K command, kill the Turkey, start swinging for the fences.
Here, do you think there's any value in James rolling out this Disruptor Flute in response to the Thoughtseize?
There's an argument for it, but knowing the context of the rest of the hand, the K, it's either going to be the liquid metal coating or one of the K commands going. Because the Disruptor Flute, the only thing I'm looking at that's really going to be super impacted against this is either going to be a pitched Force of Will, which with the rest of the hand, it's not going to make too big of a difference, or to stop a Kaido from being ninjutsu'd. So it doesn't really have a whole lot of applications in here, so it's probably safe.
Okay. Jess64 following this up with a Brainstorm into a Badlands, cracking that Tarn, shuffling away the bad cards in our deck, and we're going to cast Flow State to try to find some good answers to this powerful Tron deck.
Man, and I will tell you, after casting some Flow States the last couple of weeks, that the card is definitely the real deal in Legacy. It is amazing. Viewers at home, if you haven't turned on a Flow State yet, I highly recommend you do.
Last week's match also had a control deck featuring Flow State, but unfortunately, during all of the games, never drew a single Flow State. Never got to see it go on the stack. Didn't resolve, the control deck did lose. So maybe it was just not casting the Flow States.
Yeah. I mean, I had a few today that were like that. They weren't turned on, and wasn't the case. They were not that great.
Right, so Jess64. Oh no, I'm sorry. I think James might be tanking here on whether or not they want to cast this Kozilek's Command in the face of the Flow State.
So I can see reasonings for both. One of which is they can find Force of Will off this pretty easily. Be able to have it, and then at that point, the only gas they have going, I mean, they still have the liquid metal coating, but I think we're kind of past that point of the being a destructive force as effective as it would have been on turn 2 or turn 3 when it would have started now. So maybe they want to get this in to try and get the most value out of it, or to make sure that it resolves.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, right? You you might as well cast it if you think you're going to cast it on the end step anyway. But here X is only 2, so maybe we're going to get rid of this Baleful Strix, make a construct, start swinging in for chunks of 5 or 6 while we wait to find a Planeswalker.
Oh, that is actually my mistake. I did not know. I could not tell or see from here that they were able to get the extra. I miscounted. I only had them being able to make 5 mana, not 6, with the addition of the Saga.
Yeah, I think it was the Manifold Key on the Monolith that pushed them up over the edge. But here, Jess64 making a choice. They're going to get 2 of these 3 cards.
I see where my mistake was. It was from the Metalcraft on the workshop.
Oh, right. Yep.
Making
that
2 mana.
Makes 2 mana.
Saga. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So here we're going to take a Tyrant Scorn and a Force of Will. Force of Will, very familiar. Tyrant Scorn, it kills a creature with mana value 3 or less, or it bounces a creature that is larger than that. Here it'll be able to bounce that token, destroy the token, whatever you want to do with it. So maybe pretty useful.
Tyrant Scorn is great. I would be lying if I said I have not sleeved up that card. It's been a lot of fun and some brews.
As an enjoyer of Dark Depths, Tyrant Scorn is one of those weird ones where I always have to read it multiple times just to make sure that I am in fact losing to it. All right, here we're going to make another construct in response to the Urza Saga trigger. Do you just grab a candle or key? What are you looking for here?
At this point, with having the Ancient Tomb, probably go the extra key, because the candle is not going to have many targets. But they do have a Plenier Nexus and the Tower, but that's another 2 turns before they can fully get value out of the candle.
Sure. Whereas this Manifold Key is either additional mana from the Monolith or additional cards from the One Ring. It just seems like a more versatile answer there, or choice there, right?
Yeah, so it's looking like we have 2 available. That'll give us 6 plus a land drop. We might just see Ugin come down this turn.
We also drew another Grim, which is a plus mana just on its own.
Yep. Up 3-5, yeah, 2 to 5 is pretty good with the key in play. Looking at this is one thing that always amazed me while playing these decks was just, especially in paper, having to track all of this in a timely manner while playing fast in order to finish the match, and just mathing it all out was always a skill set to me, and I always admired people who could do it very quickly.
Absolutely. It's hard to remember that this is turn 4. And I think James has access to double-digit mana. They've drawn 6 additional cards off the One Ring, maybe more than that. I'm not sure if we had another activation in there that I missed. So it's just a lot. Here's the Ugin. But it is going to be forced, pitching the Tyrant Scorn. I think.
Yeah, and this is going to be a lot of damage coming across too. Like Jess is slowly running out of time here.
And with a Kozilek's command on deck, it's just James is going to be able to search pretty much the top of his entire library for whatever card he wants.
Yeah.
There's not much that Jess64 is going to be able to do here.
Yeah, and from this point, James isn't even going to need to cast another spell. There's the hidden mode of Manifold Key that makes your creatures unblockable.
Oh, right.
So he can get both of his tokens and swing for lethal.
Yep. All right. So it looks like this is probably locked up. The Bolt Snap Bolt, unfortunately, just 3 mana shy. Although the one ring should kill on the upkeep, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's I just saw that myself. Wow.
Does that work?
Yeah. Yield, snap, bolt, snap. Wow. Wow. Wow.
All right, there's the trigger. Is there anything that can be done about that trigger? Is there any way to gain some life, or
unless they have green mana and they can crop rotation for Glimmer Post, maybe?
I don't think that's how that's going to work. We do see a ring activation in response to the trigger just to get some more looks, see if maybe we can find something else. I'm going to say MVP here, Ancient Tomb and the One Ring. So what a turn of events.
Wow.
I am shocked. All right, so thinking about sideboards here. Yeah, I'm still yeah. So thinking about sideboards here, what are we looking for on the Grixis control side? Are we still just trying to lean into maybe my opponent's cards will kill my opponent for me? I see where we pulled out the Price of Progress and.
Yes. So for the most part with Grixis, I would like to see trimming on some of the Barrogoyfs, weirdly enough, I don't think kills fast enough. It's probably going to stay in though. But there's a lot of interesting choices here. I think the main avenue that we're going to see this thing win is kind of how we just saw. We actually, we kind of talked about it during the pregame preamble there about how snap bolt snap is always a quick way to do it with a timely piece of counter magic or two, which we definitely saw in game 1. And in game 2 they get access to Consign to Memory, Force of Negations, looks like additional spell pierces, and they get access to Meltdown, which is pretty powerful, and one of my all-time personal favorite cards. The OG doesn't see much play or love anymore, the original K command. That would be Culligan's command.
Yeah. All right, now over on the Tron side, what are we doing here? Are we making major changes to our deck, or are we just saying, you know what, I didn't anticipate taking 6 damage out of nowhere, and I just need to play a tighter game?
I could definitely see that. I really don't see the Tron deck sideboarding too much, which with what they have, with them being a Karn deck, a good choice of the sideboard. Usually half to 2/3 of the deck are all Karn targets, so they can't really bring a lot of those in. And the rest of the cards they do have, it looks like we have some Mindbreak Traps and Leyline of the Void. Leyline, not super effective against Grixis control. It is decent against Snapcaster, and it's still a 2-mana flash threat that can be pitched to forest. It doesn't do enough. And the effect for Barrogoyf is symmetrical, so it gets both players' graveyards, so it still will grow. So I really don't see them siding much.
Okay. Yeah, and looking at the choices that James is making in real time, it doesn't look like there's many changes being made. We did trim One Ring, so maybe the fear is there of possibly dying to your own cards again. But we'll see. This is game 2. James is going to be on the play. I like this hand. It's a lot of lands. James did not, chooses to pitch it. We get 2 copies of Ugin in our 6.
Oof. This is a little rough. The hand's a little sketchy. You only have 2 lands. They're nexuses. They're not very synergistic with each other. You don't have the big mana production. You have 2 7-drops.
Right.
Even if you landed Trinisphere, you're kind of caught under your own mana. But it looks like James is keeping this. And we're looking at Jess64 hands, and this is exactly the hand you want against this deck.
Absolutely. Now, the Price of Progress is a 2-drop, but we're not going to cast that on turn 2 unless something wild happens. But the Thoughtseize on 1, and then using Kolaghan's command to possibly break that candle, or maybe a Trinisphere, seems great. I think the decision on this Thoughtseize is super important, though. What are you taking?
To be honest with my hand, I am just going to take Ugin. I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Actually, no. Sorry. Not Ugin. I'm thinking Ugin and Karn. I'm taking Trinisphere here. Seeing that they have the Candelabra with the 2 nexuses here, we're pretty far off a 7-mana Planeswalker here.
Sure. But I think you can play under a Trinisphere, especially with the Kolaghan's command in hand. But we'll see what happens. We draw a second candle. It doesn't do much when your only lands are planar Nexi, but as soon as we get a Tron land or hopefully not an Ancient Tomb, candles can certainly turn that into a lot of mana.
Yeah.
Over on the Grixis control side, we picked up a flow state, and I think we're just going to settle into that good old play a land, pass the turn. Speaking of Tron lands, here's a power plant. Now that'll make 2 mana because of the planar nexus.
Yep. We have 2, 4. Is that 2, 3, 4? Go to 3, go to 5. Yeah. Actually, thinking about it now, it looks like Jess64 did make the correct call on the Ugin off of the Thoughtseize, with definitely some foresight into how much mana can be made off of what they've seen from the hand, with having one land, just one land away from kind of going off.
Yeah. And I think an Ugin here probably would have closed the game. There's no counter magic to stop it. We don't have that many cards in the deck that can actually remove it once it's at the battlefield. We have a few, but not a lot. Come back to Grixis control. The end step, we are going to surveil. And I think it's probably going to be a Kolaghan's command, but you're not getting a ton of value here. You know your opponent's last card is Dismember, which probably doesn't matter that much. So you're probably not going to force them to discard, and maybe your Kolaghan's command can wait for a bit. If you're not casting anything, the Trinisphere isn't doing anything.
Yeah.
All right.
The Bowmaster there was a pretty good pickup as well, because it's going to give you 2 bodies for 1, knowing that Dismember's in town. They're definitely at some point going to have to dismember the Bowmaster because of the implications with the One Ring. It's just they don't really play well together, and that's not something you want to take across from you while you have your massive card draw engine in play that deals you damage by itself.
And that does mean that Jess64 will have another mode active on the Kolaghan's command, where you just pick up that Bowmasters, put it right back into play, embarrass your opponent playing 1-for-1 removal spells. All right, in the end step, we do see the Bowmasters deployed. That'll deal 1 damage, put 2 1/1s on the battlefield. We drew another Bowmasters.
Oof. This is definitely looking a little dicey here for James, unfortunately. Usually these decks have explosive starts, and as we saw from, did not want to go to 5 off the mulligan, and it's kind of showing here.
Yeah. Now, the pickup of the Kozilek's command does represent a full game plan on its own. I think with the key, he can probably look at maybe 20 cards, to be honest, off of this Kozilek's command. There's just so much mana of it. Well, I guess not. It's only a power plant. It's not a tower. It's not the workshop, so maybe it's not that much. But it is quite a bit.
I was gonna say, it was like even with just having the key, it's gonna be a 2-turn deployment of playing at 3, untapping, and then getting max value out of it. And with only having the power plant, like you said, it is going to be a little bit of extra mana, but it's not going to be a big jump. But it also creates another pinch point in the mana, where when they go to target a key, if Jess64 has the mana open, they can just K command and kind of blow it out, because they're going to lose the mana from the activation and the investment into it, and it can go pretty bad pretty quick at that point.
Right. So at the end step, we do see the second Orcish Bowmasters being deployed. I think we're waiting on James for a response. I guess Kozilek's command does draw you a card. Maybe you want to avoid 2 pings and 2 counters on your army, because that does represent a pretty fast clock. And James doesn't know it, but this is following up by a Price of Progress, which could end the game very quickly.
Yeah, the price is going to be coming down in the next turn or so and ending the game.
This matchup is not going how I thought it was going to. This is very, very cool Magic. All right, so we will see the Kozilek's command in response to the Bowmasters.
Now, I'm curious to see which mode that James picks on this, because you still have to resolve the card in order, And Kozlik's command says that you have you scry and then draw and then exile. So there would be a Bowmaster trigger even if he does choose to exile and use the card draw option.
But it's only one trigger and not two if you had waited for the Bowmaster to resolve here. Oh, are we exiling graveyard cards? Can I see that clearer? Okay, no. So it is, we're going to scry, draw a card, and then we're going to exile this Bowmasters. What are you looking for here? An Ugin?
I think you just need a payoff. Ugin would do it. K command's not really where you want to be at. With what he has available, I'm either like keeping the Saga or just bottoming everything at this point. It looks like we are going to be keeping the Saga.
Yeah.
Which we'll be able to start pumping out little robot constructs here and being able to soak up some of the damage, but there's still going to be 2 turns before he's able to make them and taking a decent amount of damage in the process. And go to 15 and untap and then swing for 4, 11, and then and with the Saga, that's 8 damage. He could be looking at lethal.
Right.
And by the time he's able to actually make a construct, which is I think we're going to see here.
Yeah, I mentioned it during the preamble. Like, you kind of have to play the beatdown. The control deck isn't great at that, but it's not impossible. And when you back it up with very powerful direct burn, sometimes you can just do it. Man,
wow! I'm definitely shocked at this outcome. This is I definitely would have lost my lunch money.
The Trinisphere here is doing a lot of work in keeping James from deploying the key and the monolith. I think you can do both, but you're basically tapping out for it. You're taking 3 from the I think 4 from the creatures, and then there's a price of progress following that up with 8 damage.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure this game is just
Yeah.
wrapped up here at this point.
Wow.
Which is what I think we're waiting on, which is what we're seeing now.
Now the Dismember, I think he can cast the Dismember without losing any life for it, which would keep him in the game.
Right.
The Planar Nexus has that ability to filter mana. I think he can do it. I'm trying to count it up here.
Just
1,
untaps
2,
up.
3, 4.
Yeah. James is going to be able to do this and pay for the Dismember with no life loss taken here. Being able to untap, make 4 colorless mana, and then use 2 of it to filter in for the black. Yeah.
The Grim Monolith costs 3 because of Trinisphere. It makes 3, so it's basically free. Might as well roll it out. We'll see if James elects to dismember the army. And we're going to see a Kolagon's command blowing up that Trinisphere, allowing us to cast.
I like this timing by James. He does go for the Dismember here. Basically makes it so he's playing around Force of Will, or if he does it during Jess64's upkeep, it acts as a pseudo Orum's Chant or Silence. If they have to pay 3 mana for Force of Will, unless they have another land and then the spell in hand, which is not always guaranteed you're going to get to 6 lands in a blue cantrip deck in Legacy.
Right. So good timing on the Dismember, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And I think you have to kill the army, which isn't, necessarily the best part of the 2 halves, but it is the part that's going to kill you right now. I think the second mode on the K command is 2 damage to face. That'll bring James down to 9, meaning they only have to deal 1 damage.
Then
And
we
that
will
price of
have
progress is lethal.
Yeah, and
So-
we're gonna have lethal on Jess64's turn. Wow, that is wild. And we have Force of Negation to boot.
Right. Just in case.
Yeah, I definitely, like I said, I definitely did not see this one coming.
Mm-mm.
This is crazy.
Now, is there anything that you have to think about playing around here?
No.
I don't think so.
1 mana, yeah, being able to only be able to make 2 mana, plus having hard cast Force of Negation in hand. I don't think there's much to worry about. Or if need be, you can always brainstorm into it. That is
wow.
Pretty insane.
That's the ball game right there. That's amazing. So I think the key takeaways here that I'm seeing, and certainly going to ask you for your insight on this, is we saw both games end where we had a bolt snap bolt or price of progress dealing 6 and then 8 damage immediately right now. Let's end this game. Is that the strategy? And in that case, do we want to be bringing more price of progress in our control list moving forward?
I definitely do like that. At least for the Grixis, the bolts are pretty standard, having at least 3 or so copies in there. And the price of progress, we see it in most other decks that are playing red right now that can afford it. Whether that be different variations of like blue-red, they're mostly out of like the Delver decks, but you're seeing them with Cutter, without Cutter, you're seeing with Delver. But a lot of those decks are packing 1 to 2, sometimes 3 copies of price of progress, and they're very, very effective. It's good against the style of deck with Tron. Tron's very, very popular right now. Originally, I thought maybe that blue-black might have been the better of the 2 tempo decks, but after seeing a bunch of it in action and having Tron reintroduced to the wild again, red might be the way to go. You get access to Meltdown for all of the artifacts, and more importantly, you get price of progress. And just like we talked about pre-hand, it's probably one of the only ways that Jess64 and the Grixis control matchup is going to win this, and that's exactly how it happened. We had snap bolt or bolt snap bolt, and then we had price of progress followed by some orcs. The way the Tolkien intended it to be.
I think it's also important to remember that the game started with Thoughtseize, take your Ugin, and you and I came down differently on whether it was the Ugin or the Trinisphere. And then I think after that you said like, oh, well, he's only got 2 lands. We're pretty far away from the 7 mana Planeswalker. It turns out the very next turn, maybe the next turn or the turn after that, he could have cast Ugin with the mana available to him. And that's just kind of the explosive power that this deck, the Tron deck, can generate. Yeah, man, I'm still trying to come to terms with what just happened there.
Yeah, now that I'm looking back and kind of re-going through the match and looking at it and everything else, and I'm pretty sure that turn 1 Thoughtseize won that game. Taking the Ugin, like we said, like Ugin would have came down, I believe it would have been turn 3 because they would have had a setup turn with the extra keys and stuff. But yeah, I mean that would have been a totally different game because we've seen how many extra trinkets they drew over the course of the game without any additional card draw. And all of those would have been exile a dude, exile a dude, exile a dude. They just would have taken out the whole board. And the whole context of the game changes.
Like it's a 7 mana spell, so you're putting a lot into it and you're getting a lot out of it. But every turn, if you wanted to, you can just gain 3 life and draw a card. That's a bolt,
right?
That's a third of a price of progress. And you get that in addition to, and now I'm going to exile every single one of your permanents that has 1 or more colors. This card is wild when it actually does hit the battlefield. So with that being said, I believe we have a winner's interview, and we're going to cut to that.
Jess, congratulations. You are the first 2-0 that we have had in the Super League. How do you feel right now?
Surprised and pretty good. Not like I doubted myself, but that went a lot better than I expected it to, especially after the turn 1 Ancient Tomb when I saw my life flashing before my eyes. But I do think, thankfully, that Tron is something I have a better matchup against an actual, like, Cloud Post.
Right.
Cloud Post's a nightmare.
I mean, so you called that shot. You were like, if they switch
Really
to
did.
Tron, yeah.
Everybody's been talking about it, and it's on Magic Online, and it's if you need help with the cards, we'll get them for you. So everyone's just like, how many people are going to show with 4 Candelabra of Thanos when it doesn't cost a house? I'm like, if it happens, it happens. I will put one. I already have Price of Progress on the sideboard. I will take my goat Marvin's recommendation. I'll put Ruination in the sideboard, and I'll trust the process.
And that process worked. So turn 1, you've got the land, you're on the play, you have the Thoughtseize. What made you think, no, we're not going to Thoughtseize here, we're just going to wait?
I'm a little overly patient at times,
Okay.
but on this one, it was a little bit. It's bad if there's a fast mana turn. It's really good if it's a setup turn with like a Candelabra and I get an extra turn for them to draw into something I want to take. There's also the option, depending on what I wanted to do, with like if a Karn off the top happens, I can have the option to Thoughtseize if for some reason I decide not to Shield Edict. I even thought about that before realizing, wait, I can just kill Karn. But that depended a little bit on like what's he gonna wish for, and then also I've lost games versus a 7-card big mana hand because I turn 1 Thoughtseized and saw 2 things that I would need to take and was like, well, this is a little awkward. Whereas sometimes their plays will line up in a way that tells you one of these is much worse than the other, but only if they know to make that play first turn.
And the other thing we noted, and we were talking about this in the producers room, on turn 2, you chose to Edict instead of going Bolt the Karn Thoughtseize. And obviously you won that match in an incredible fashion with the Bolt stat bolt, you die to your own ring. Were you planning that all the way back there? That was your avenue to victory?
Turn 1 Ancient Tomb, I got a Bolt in hand, I got a Snapcaster in hand. I know exactly how I win this game, and I'm not doing anything else. I will not pivot. Unless he stumbles, then maybe I'll pivot.
Oh yeah, stuff.
But the whole time I was like, I refuse to not bolt someone out.
And it worked obviously so
well. I think it's the only consistent way that I win that matchup is I just delay, abuse the fact that they are not like Blue Post, they're not a Force of Will deck. Try to just answer the things that will kill me immediately and be like, take that life total down, tap that ring, tap that tomb.
And it worked. We were watching the K command. We were thinking they were going to exile your sorceries or something, try and turn off your flow state, and you're just sitting there going, yeah, what is this better? Go to my turn, die.
He's like, yeah, eat my token. I don't care.
Yeah.
I got Exacties. I saw how it was going down before it even happened.
We've seen it before here, folks. And then sideboarding just looked like you brought in every one of you had. You had the price, which of course was very relevant in game 2. Ruination, you talked about. Meltdown, Consign, Fawn, Spell Pierce. I mean, it seemed like you had a plan. You took all 3 minutes, but it seemed like you mentally had a plan walking into that room.
Yeah, I had a plan with what to bring in. I hadn't necessarily put as much stock into what I was supposed to take out. There was a little bit of rereading some of the cards that I've had, like the new Is It Charm that I've had to reread and be like, wait, does this do anything that I really want in this matchup over a Baleful Strikes? Because they're both blue cards. They both draw me a card. One puts in Kaito. But it was mostly, I know I have the hate pieces I want. How many things can I squeeze out? Right? Like I want to go down a flow state because they can eat my graveyard pretty easily, so I don't want to overly rely on that. I don't know necessarily how many counter spells I want that eat a card out of my hand. So like how many Force of Wills do I leave in? Do I bring in Force of Negation when they don't really have graveyard synergy? Because it is just a 3-mana counter spell, and that mana efficiency is huge. But it was, I want to bring in the cheap stuff. I want to bring in a little bit more disruptive, and I want to bring in the most hateful little silver bullets of all time. I want to say that either you're going to die to your mana base or your mana base is going to die. One of the two.
And so it worked. Now, and game 2, your opponent molds to 6. You Thoughtseize them, and you see the K command. You see their, I don't know if you Kozilek. You see the Trinisphere. You see Ugin. What makes you go not Trinisphere and go Ugin instead?
I looked at my hand. I didn't have anything that cost 1 mana at that point. I only had a 2-mana spell. There wasn't
Mhm.
anything scary in the hand that was going to
Right.
happen unless it came right off the top. But like, this wasn't a super fast mana generating hand either. So my thought process was, if I draw into a hand that's awkward around Trinisphere, I'll just K-command it on turn 3. I probably have time for that. If I take the Trinisphere, I'm basically saying I really hope that you don't draw good mana sources off the top,
Mhm.
versus me going, well, I hope I don't draw into a much worse hand.
And
And I felt
obviously
it
it
was
worked.
safer to. I won so many games where people have Trinisphere locked themselves versus me. First BCQ I ever played in this league. Round 1, my opponent plays the Void, or whichever the world enchantment is that mana leaks every spell.
I think it's the Void
They locked
or
themselves
the
out of the game.
Abyss. Yeah.
They didn't draw enough lands, and I just went, I'm fine with that. I'm going to keep playing my lands for turn. I will pay 3 mana for Force of Will if I have to.
And obviously that just worked. And
Yeah.
so you're playing through the game. Your opponents finally found the power plant. They played the 3 ball, but you're just going Bowmasters you,
Yep.
Bowmasters you. At that point, you just knew, this is my plan. I'm going to get you down to pop, and just you're dead.
Yeah, it's like I could. There's slim margins as well that his deck will draw things that he would be awkward to cast under Trinisphere, and it's just like, I'll just keep letting you pay the tax. I don't care. I'll pay 3 for my Bowmasters. I'm not doing anything else with his mana.
Mhm.
I'll shatter that Trinisphere by the time I cast a Brainstorm. I am the most willing in the world to spend extra mana or extra resources in a situation where you think it's symmetrical in a way that favors you, and I actually just don't care.
And it worked.
Take me to Vintage Cube. I'll pitch Ancestral Recall to Force of Will. I don't care. I will do what it takes.
Oh boy, the comments are gonna love that one.
I've done it before in Canlander. It's so funny.
Oh no.
Sometimes it works. Keyword.
How many
Sometimes.
points is recall that you just pitched?
I think right now it's 8. I think it was 7 when I was doing that.
I think it's 8 or 7 too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you are victorious, which means you go into our round of 8, and you're going to play the winner of Jay, Where's Your House Key, and Patrick KC. You've already talked about getting to play Jay on a regular basis. Are you excited to play her against Jay again, or are you hoping for Patrick?
I just know in my heart of hearts, if I win, he's gonna submit Beans. I know it. I can feel in my soul. Every time he's not on Beans, I kill him. Every time he's on Beans, he kills me. The only time he's played Beans that I've killed him, I had 4 Stormfist Crusaders in my deck. I don't want to talk about how that even happens.
And producers, we're going to need to put that card on the screen because no one knows what it does.
It's not even a Pioneer playable.
Well, just congratulations. We're going to see you again in our round of 8, and we're going to send it back to the booth to close us out.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Yeah, so it is just like we wrote it up. The one avenue to victory is burn to the face, and Jess64 drew the right sides of the deck, played to the out of I'm just going to deal 8 damage to you, and that's going to be that. Anything you hear during that interview that caught your ear?
Yeah, I was going to say, I wanted to point out a couple things. And Jess, first off, Jess64, big shout out for the explanation of a lot of things you said you were doing and how you were doing them. We were in here going, well, you could have done this and this, and specifically the lightning bolt play. That was some very super impressive heads up 4D chess, like down the road thinking there, like knowing that that's your one absolute path to victory, and then committing and then executing. It was very excellent, very well played. And this is why having specialists for decks are important in your local meta, because one, you're going to see these people, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to be cool if you're like, hey, like, what'd you think of that play, or how did you build your deck this way, or why does your board look like this? And you learn a lot. So having people who are known for playing certain style of decks are very important to learn and to better your deck building. And we're very lucky to have so many people like this in our area. For as far as I can think of, like almost every major archetype, we either have someone in the DMV area or plays in the league regularly that either like a very big stalwart of the deck or they're one of the innovators. And it's great to have resources available. So shout out. That was amazing sideboarding. I am probably going to play your deck at my next weekly. That looked amazing.
Nice. Yeah. One thing that's really interesting about that matchup is Jess64 is new to the format. Started playing in the Legacy League, and we're in our 3rd year, but that's not a lot of time to become an expert at this game. I think James mentioned they'd been playing for 20 years, something along those lines. And it just goes to show, if you have a game plan, you stick to it, and you draw the right cards, you can win, even if your opponent is very well experienced. Speaking of experience, the amount of experience in this bracket is absurd. Just scanning through the list of names here, we've been seeing a lot of matches on the Virginia side of things. I'm up here in Maryland. We got some great matches coming up for you, including one with one Paul Lynch. Paul, you excited for your match?
Yeah. I get to play against somebody that I play pretty regularly. Alex is a pretty good player. I believe he's top 8 at like 2 or 3 BCQs this season so far. He cleans my clock semi-regularly at our weekly events, and he's got a pretty wide range. So I'm definitely gonna have my work cut out for him. But we talk shop and play when we're in person. It's great. So I'm looking forward to this match online.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure that that's going to be a great match. It happens to be a match that sometimes I just get to see when I'm at my weekly at Level Up Games, which is great. But all of the matches in the Super League have been wonderful so far. I don't know about you. I'm still reeling from the upset tonight. And then a couple of matches ago, we had Dan McKelvey playing against Ben Holt on this wonderful blue-black tempo list. And that has stuck with me a lot.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. And like, even speaking of how Jess64 was saying, they're relatively new to the format. Dan, our local guy, he has not been playing Legacy for very, very long. And if you know his online handle, you would very, very much see him top 8ing many challenges quite often, and with some very obscure one-off cards. So the deck building is definitely unique. And puts a fresh take on things. And Ben is the same way. Ben, I believe this is Ben's 1st year in the league. He's been a player a little bit around the area for a little bit, but he's just getting into Legacy, and he tore it up. He actually took the top seat from Gave Heyman from me in the last week that we had this available. So he was able to squeak it up by 1 point. So yeah, he was going. And then speaking of unique deck building, like I said, I'm going to play Jess64's deck with him next week in my weeklies. Last week, after seeing Dan's matchup, I went on to TCG. Oh, sorry. I went on to a site to buy cards and picked up a set of Rory. Can you name that card?
That, I believe, is Astrid's Invocation, right? The 2 and a blue enchantment that copies something or flickers itself and becomes a copy of an enchantment every turn. Is that right?
Yes, 100% correct. I have the rest of the cards coming in. I actually picked some up today while I was at Game Haven for the deck. I'm going to play that at a weekly coming up too. So I want to see everyone's decks in the league. I want to play what our locals are playing. I want to pick their brains. Yeah. So
something I do love, and I think I've mentioned this every time that I interact with the league, is just the quality of players here in the league, just in the local area is so high. Every week you get to see excellent players, Pro Tour competitors, the old Star City circuit winners. Like, everybody has such a high ceiling on their play, exactly, that you can't help but learn something every time you're watching two people just sling spells, and there's so many decision points. We heard that during the interview. These aren't just, oh, I guess I'll play this because I have the mana and I might as well cast it. This is very intentional play, and it's some of the highest level of play of Magic on the planet.
It's I don't want to be one to brag, but our area is pretty well known throughout the the format is having some killers, and the running joke locally is that going 3 up at a level up Legacy Weekly is harder than top 8ing a challenge.
Right.
And when you look at the results of a lot of these challenges, I can see why, because a good chunk of them are playing on Wednesday nights.
Right.
Level up.
Speaking of level up, we do want to thank all of our gold tier partners. That includes stores Game Haven, Paradise Games and Gifts, Level Up Games, Dice City Games, and Curio Cavern. All of those stores run weekly events where you can come and play with some of the best players, some of the friendliest players, in my opinion, earn some points, maybe qualify for the Super League or for one of our upcoming invitationals. We also have CubeCon coming July 11th, 12th. And I think we got a BCQ coming up.
Yeah, we were just talking about the store. June 6th is the next BCQ, and that's going to be at Level Up Games. It's going to be a great time. Come out, see everybody. The way you qualify for the Super League is being top 2 in your respective store for each one, and keep your points up, keep playing, come out, qualify for the next one. Maybe we'll see you guys here.
Absolutely. And speaking of the next one, not the next Super League season, but the next Super League match coming up soon will be between Jay Wojciechowski and Patrick Casey. That's going to be a great match. Jay is just such a nice person, but a killer at Magic. So I can't wait to see what these two players have cooked up, what they think they need to bring in order to play against this particular opponent. That's something I love about the Super League. But Paul, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. This match was wild. I'm going to have to go back and do an analysis of all of those decision points, what I would have done, why it would have been wrong, and how I might possibly have escaped this Tron matchup the way that Jess64 did.
Yeah, no, I am definitely going to be doing the same because, like I said, I'm going to play this at one of our weeklies this week, and they have a fair amount of Tron players. We had one of them in top 4 today at the Game Haven BCQ, Mr. Jay Franklin. Very, very nice dude. Very good match player. So he will definitely give you a run for your money. Plus, I get to watch Al Jess sideboard to give me a little more of a insight, and I can relearn how to do Tron math properly because, as you guys watch the video, I'm not that great at it.
Well, I usually think it's like 1 + 1 + it's enough. There's enough mana.
Yeah, it's 1 + 1 + 1 = 7, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think nowadays with inflation and power creep, it's like 1 + 1 + 1 is like 20. It's math. The math doesn't math for me anymore. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining me again, and we'll see you all next time. Good night.